In the quiet stillness of evening, as the pace of the day gradually fades, the body begins to settle into a slower rhythm. Yet, deep within, away from the sound of voices, the movement of the air, and the shifting of light, there is another kind of activity, one that never truly stops. This is the work of the digestive system. It is not a hurried process, nor a loud one, but rather a steady, almost meditative sequence of actions that has been with you since your very first meal. It works whether you are thinking of it or not, whether you are active or still, and even now, as you prepare for rest, it continues without pause. Digestion is the body's way of welcoming the outer world into the inner world. Each meal you have ever eaten, from the simplest sip of water to the most elaborate dish, has been gently transformed by this system into the elements that keep you alive. The food you enjoy carries within it the quiet record of its own journey, the energy of the sun, the minerals of the soil, the patterns of rain and growth. Through digestion, your body takes in these gifts, breaking them down into forms that can be used by every cell. This exchange is constant, forming an unbroken thread between the life beyond your skin and the life within it. When we think of digestion, it is easy to imagine it as a single event, a meal being processed. But in truth, it is a continuous cycle. Long after you have finished eating, the work goes on. In fact, while you rest, your digestive system often finds the ideal conditions to continue its quiet labor. The pace of the body slows, the parasympathetic nervous system takes the lead, and the organs dedicated to digestion operate with calm efficiency. The process is as natural as breathing, and just as essential. Imagine, for a moment, that you could follow the path of food through your body. You would begin in the mouth, where the first gentle transformation takes place. Teeth break food into smaller pieces, and saliva, rich with enzymes, begins the chemical changes that will continue throughout the journey. From there, food is guided along the esophagus, moving through a series of smooth, wave-like contractions called peristalsis. This motion carries it toward the stomach, where a warm, muscular chamber patiently mixes it with gastric juices. As you picture this process, notice that there is no hurry. Digestion is not about speed, but about completeness. Each stage is designed to give the body exactly what it needs, no more and no less. The small intestine, a winding and folded passage, provides an immense surface area for absorbing nutrients. Villi and microvilli, so small that they are invisible to the naked eye, reach out like tiny fingers, drawing in amino acids, sugars, fatty acids, and vitamins. These nutrients are then sent into the bloodstream, where they travel to the cells that will put them to use. Alongside the main digestive tract are organs that assist quietly but decisively. The liver, vast and versatile, processes nutrients, filters the blood, and produces bile to help break down fats. The gallbladder stores and releases this bile when needed, a small but reliable reservoir. The pancreas, tucked neatly behind the stomach, secretes enzymes and bicarbonate to aid in digestion and maintain balance in the system. Each of these organs works in harmony with the others, like members of an orchestra, contributing their part to the whole. It is easy to overlook the subtle intelligence of this system, its ability to select what is needed and let the rest pass by. Every moment, your digestive tract decides what will enter the bloodstream and what will be left behind. This decision-making is guided by chemistry, by signals from the nervous system, and by the body's ongoing needs. Even without your awareness, it constantly adjusts to the type of food you have eaten, the amount of energy you are using, and the state of your overall health. Beyond its physical processes, digestion is deeply connected to the rest of the body. The cardiovascular system carries the nutrients it gathers. The respiratory system provides the oxygen needed to use them, and the endocrine system releases hormones that regulate the pace of digestion. The nervous system, Particularly the enteric nervous system, often called the second brain, manages much of this activity without sending every decision to the brain itself. This network of nerves in the digestive tract senses, responds, and coordinates with remarkable independence, ensuring that the process continues smoothly. If you could shrink down and walk through this system, you might find it like traveling along a gentle river. The waterway begins broad at the mouth, then narrows and bends, passing through chambers and channels, each with its own character. There are places where the current swirls and mixes, others where it slows to allow time for absorption, and finally, stretches where the remaining material flows steadily toward the end of its journey. At each point, something essential is happening, though the pace remains unhurried. The digestive system mirrors the quiet persistence of nature itself, just as rivers carve valleys over years, and forests grow by adding one leaf at a time. Digestion works through small, steady actions. It transforms what it receives, not in sudden bursts, but through a sequence of carefully timed steps, and like nature, it thrives in balance. Too much haste or too much delay can unsettle it, but given the right conditions, calmness, rest, and nourishment, it performs its role with quiet perfection. Tonight, as you rest, the digestive system will keep moving in its slow rhythm. You may not feel the movement of peristalsis, the release of enzymes, or the absorption of nutrients, but these things are happening just the same. Your body is engaged in an act of care, tending to your needs without demanding your attention. It is a reminder that much of what keeps you alive is not driven by willpower or thought, but by the patient intelligence of the body itself. This gentle guide will follow the digestive journey from start to finish. We will meet the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, and the intestines. We will visit the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas, and we will see how each part plays its role. There will be no rush, no sense of urgency, only a calm, unfolding, one step at a time. By the end, you will have a clearer picture of the quiet miracle that takes place within you every day, and perhaps a greater appreciation for its constancy. So, take a slow breath and let your attention settle. Imagine the inner pathways that have sustained you through every stage of life. Imagine them working now, as they always do, in quiet cooperation. This is the beginning of our journey into the digestive system, a journey of transformation, of balance, and of life itself, unfolding in perfect rhythm beneath the surface of your awareness. 2. The purpose of digestion. Digestion is, at its heart, the body's way of turning the world outside into the world within. Every cell in your body, from the muscles that move your limbs to the neurons that carry your thoughts, depends on the energy and building materials that come from the food you eat. Yet the things you place on your plate are not ready, in their original form, to be used by your body. A grain of rice is too large, too complex, and too locked in its own structure to pass directly into a cell. A piece of fruit holds sugars, vitamins, and water, but they must be gently released from their natural containers before they can be shared. This transformation, from complex food into simple, absorbable nutrients, is the essential purpose of digestion. The process serves two main goals: to break down food into its smallest useful components, and to deliver those components to the places in the body where they are needed. These components include carbohydrates, which the body uses as its primary source of energy, proteins, which provide amino acids for building and repairing tissues, fats, which store energy and help form cell membranes, vitamins and minerals, which enable countless chemical reactions, and water, which supports nearly every function of life. Without digestion, these substances would remain locked within the food itself, unavailable to the cells that depend on them. To understand why digestion is necessary, it helps to imagine what food is made of at a molecular level. Carbohydrates may arrive in the form of long chains of sugars, too large to pass through the lining of the intestine, Proteins are built from many amino acids linked together in elaborate shapes, each twist and fold making them unsuitable for direct use. Fats gather in droplets, shielded from water, which makes them difficult to mix with the watery environment of the digestive tract. The task of digestion is to gently dismantle these structures, one step at a time, using both mechanical forces, such as chewing and churning, and chemical helpers like enzymes and acids. The act of digestion is also a form of preservation. By breaking food into its most basic parts, the body can store some of what it does not need immediately. Glucose from carbohydrates can be stored in the liver and muscles as glycogen. Fats can be tucked away in adipose tissue as long-term reserves. Amino acids can be held in circulation until they are needed for building new proteins. This ability to store energy and materials ensures that the body can survive periods without food, maintaining a steady supply of what is necessary, even when meals are irregular. Beyond simply feeding the body, digestion plays a role in protecting it. The stomach's strong acids do more than break down proteins. They also kill many of the microbes that might have been present in food. The intestines host a community of beneficial bacteria, the microbiome, which helps prevent harmful organisms from taking hold. Mucus lining the digestive tract protects delicate tissues from both mechanical damage and the effects of strong digestive chemicals. In this way, digestion is not only about nourishment but also about defense, creating a barrier between the inner body and the wider environment. Digestion is deeply tied to the body's overall sense of balance, or homeostasis. The endocrine system releases hormones that regulate appetite, telling you when to seek food and when to stop. Blood sugar levels are monitored and adjusted, keeping them within a narrow range that supports brain function and physical activity. The nervous system, particularly the parasympathetic branch, coordinates the relaxation and contractions of muscles in the digestive tract, ensuring that food moves at the right pace, not so fast that nutrients are missed, and not so slow that discomfort arises. There is also an element of timing in digestion's purpose. Different foods take different paths and rates of travel. Simple sugars may enter the bloodstream quickly, offering fast energy, while proteins and fats move more slowly, providing sustained nourishment over hours. The body uses this pacing to its advantage, blending quick fuel with long-lasting reserves so that energy remains available without constant eating. In a broader sense, digestion is the bridge between the act of eating and the act of living. It transforms the raw materials of the natural world into the very substance of your body. The calcium from a glass of milk becomes part of your bones. The iron from leafy greens travels into red blood cells, carrying oxygen to your tissues. The omega-3 fatty acids from fish or seeds weave into the membranes of your cells, influencing their flexibility and function. Through digestion, the outer world becomes part of you. This transformation is not random but carefully orchestrated. Each enzyme is tuned to a particular task, breaking apart specific bonds. Each section of the digestive tract has a role: the mouth for mechanical and early chemical breakdown, the stomach for strong chemical digestion, the small intestine for absorption, the large intestine for reclaiming water and minerals. Supporting organs like the liver, pancreas, and gallbladder work in harmony with the main tract, adding their secretions at just the right moments. The entire process is a sequence of cooperation, in which each part's work enables the next. The purpose of digestion extends even beyond the individual. By enabling you to extract nourishment from food, it allows you to grow, to heal, to move, to think, to live in a way that supports not only your own needs, but also your connections to others. A well-functioning digestive system sustains the strength to care for, interact with, and contribute to the lives around you. In this way, digestion quietly supports the web of relationships and responsibilities that define human life. In the stillness of the night, when you are not eating, not moving much, perhaps not even fully awake, your digestive system continues its patient work, It draws from what you have given it during the day, distributing nutrients where they are most needed, storing what it can for the future, and preparing the body for the next cycle of activity. It is a silent caretaker, working without thanks or recognition, yet essential to every moment of your existence. As we continue this gentle journey, we will begin at the very start of the process, the mouth. Here, the first physical and chemical steps of digestion take place, beginning the transformation that will carry food through the length of the body. From that first contact with the senses of taste and smell to the final act of swallowing, the mouth sets the stage for everything that follows. It is here that digestion begins, and it is here that our next exploration will lead us. 3. An overview of the digestive pathway. The digestive system can be thought of as a continuous, winding passage that begins at the mouth and ends at the anus. Along its length, food is gradually transformed, passing through a series of regions, each with its own carefully defined role. These regions are not isolated from one another, rather, they form a single, unbroken tract, with each step preparing for the next. Supporting this main passage is a network of accessory organs, connected by ducts and blood vessels, adding their own secretions and processing power to the journey. Together, they form a system that is both simple in concept and intricate in detail. The main passageway, known as the gastrointestinal tract, begins at the mouth. Here, food is greeted by teeth, tongue, and salivary glands, and the first stages of both mechanical and chemical digestion begin. Once chewed and moistened into a soft mass called a bolus, it is swallowed and guided into the esophagus. The esophagus, a muscular tube, relies on gentle, wave-like contractions called peristalsis to move the bolus downward toward the stomach. The stomach itself is a muscular chamber capable of expanding to hold a generous amount of food and drink. Its inner lining secretes strong acids and enzymes that begin breaking down proteins, while its muscles churn the contents into a thick, semi-liquid mixture known as chyme. From the stomach, chyme is slowly released into the small intestine, the longest section of the digestive tract and the center of nutrient absorption. The small intestine is divided into 3 regions: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. The duodenum receives chyme from the stomach, along with bile from the liver and gallbladder, and digestive enzymes from the pancreas. Here, chemical digestion intensifies, breaking down fats, proteins, and carbohydrates into their smallest usable units. As the mixture moves into the jejunum and ileum, the focus shifts toward absorption, with the lining of the intestine covered in finger-like villi and microscopic microvilli drawing nutrients into the bloodstream and lymphatic system. Once most of the nutrients have been absorbed, the remaining material passes into the large intestine, or colon. Here, the body reclaims water and electrolytes, compacts undigested matter, and supports a thriving community of beneficial bacteria. These microbes help break down certain fibers and produce vitamins, such as vitamin K, that can be absorbed and used. Over time, the waste material becomes more solid, forming feces that are stored in the rectum until elimination through the anus completes the journey. Supporting this main tract are 3 key accessory organs: the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. The liver, the largest internal organ, processes nutrients absorbed from the small intestine, detoxifies harmful substances, and produces bile. Bile is stored in the gallbladder, a small sac beneath the liver, until it is needed to emulsify fats in the small intestine. The pancreas produces digestive enzymes and bicarbonate, the latter helping to neutralize stomach acid before chyme enters the small intestine. Throughout this system, movement is carefully regulated. Muscles in the tract contract in patterns that keep food moving at just the right pace. Valves and sphincters such as the lower esophageal sphincter at the entrance to the stomach and the pyloric sphincter at its exit open and close at precise moments, preventing backward flow and ensuring that each section works efficiently. Communication between these regions is constant, carried out through both nerves and hormones. For example, when the stomach senses food, it signals the small intestine to prepare for its arrival. Hormones like gastrin, secretin, and cholecystokinin adjust the release of acids, enzymes, and bile as needed. This network of signals ensures that digestion remains coordinated, with each stage ready to take over exactly when it should. While it may be tempting to think of digestion as a purely linear process, food moving in a straight line from start to finish, in truth, it is more of a cycle. Nutrients absorbed from the intestine are carried to the liver, processed, and sent out to the body, where they may be used immediately or stored for later. Waste from the body, such as old red blood cells broken down in the liver, can be excreted into bile and removed through the digestive tract. In this way, the system is part of a larger pattern of constant exchange and renewal. Seen as a whole, the digestive pathway is both a conveyor and a workshop. It transports the materials you consume, breaking them down into usable forms, and then distributes them to every part of your body. It is long and complex, yet it works quietly, day and night, rarely drawing your attention unless something interrupts its flow. In the chapters ahead, we will slow down and visit each section in turn, beginning where it all starts, the mouth, the place where the outer world first meets the inner. 4. The mouth, where digestion begins. The mouth is more than the gateway to the digestive tract. It is a place of first impressions, where food is greeted, examined, and prepared for the long journey ahead. Long before you swallow, the process of digestion has already begun here, quietly and efficiently, without you needing to think about it. The lips and cheeks guide food inward. The teeth begin to break it down. The tongue positions and moves it, and saliva bathes it in a solution of enzymes, moisture, and minerals. This is the opening act of digestion, setting the stage for everything that follows. When food enters the mouth, the senses awaken. Sight and smell have already hinted at what is to come, but taste now takes center stage. The tongue, covered with thousands of taste buds, detects a range of flavors: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami, sending signals to the brain that help identify and evaluate what is being eaten. This information not only shapes your perception of the food, but also influences how the digestive system prepares for it. A sweet taste may encourage the release of insulin in anticipation of incoming sugars, while the scent of rich, savory food can prompt an increase in saliva production. The teeth play the leading role in mechanical digestion. Incisors at the front slice food into manageable pieces, canines tear tougher textures, and the broad molars at the back grind and crush. This process, called mastication, increases the surface area of the food, making it easier for enzymes to act later in the process. It also softens the texture, combining it with saliva to form a cohesive mass known as a bolus, a form that is easy to swallow and move through the esophagus. Saliva, produced by 3 pairs of major salivary glands, the parotid, submandibular, and sublingual glands, is a clear, slightly alkaline fluid with several important functions. It moistens food, making it easier to chew and swallow, but it also begins the chemical breakdown of certain nutrients. The enzyme salivary amylase starts breaking long chains of starch into smaller sugar molecules, while lingual lipase begins the slow process of fat digestion. Saliva also contains bicarbonate, which helps neutralize acids and antimicrobial compounds that keep the mouth healthy. The tongue, a remarkably agile and muscular organ, moves food around the mouth during chewing, pressing it against the teeth and mixing it with saliva. It helps shape the bolus, then pushes it toward the back of the mouth when you are ready to swallow. This motion triggers a reflex that marks the transition from voluntary to involuntary control, the start of swallowing, or deglutition. Swallowing begins with the soft palate rising to close off the nasal passage, preventing food from entering the nose. At the same time, the epiglottis, a small flap of cartilage, folds down over the opening to the larynx, ensuring that food is guided into the esophagus rather than the airway. Muscles in the throat contract in a coordinated sequence, moving the bolus smoothly into the waiting channel of the esophagus. The work of the mouth may seem quick, but it is essential. By the time food leaves this space, it is already transformed, no longer a collection of separate textures and shapes, but a unified mass, partially broken down and ready for the next stage. The chemical signals sent during chewing and tasting have alerted the stomach and intestines to prepare for incoming food, and the saliva has begun the enzymatic process that will continue deep into the digestive tract. In addition to its role in digestion, the mouth serves as an important point of defense. It acts as a checkpoint where the senses can detect spoiled or harmful food before it is swallowed. Bitter flavors, for example, may signal toxins, prompting a natural aversion. The immune system's first lines of defense, including lymphoid tissues such as the tonsils, are also positioned near the entrance to the throat, ready to respond to any potential threats that arrive with food or drink. The mouth is a space where eating becomes an experience. The warmth of fresh bread, the crisp snap of an apple, the cool sweetness of water on a hot day, all these sensations pass through here first, connecting nourishment with pleasure. This sensory richness is not separate from digestion. It is part of it, priming the body for the work to come. By the time you swallow, the entire system has already been informed and is quietly adjusting its rhythm to match what is arriving. From here, the bolus will begin its gentle descent down the esophagus, carried by waves of muscle contraction toward the stomach. The pace will remain steady and unhurried, guided by reflexes and smooth muscle patterns that require no conscious thought. But before we move onward, it is worth pausing to appreciate this beginning. The mouth's role as both a careful examiner and a skilled preparer, ensuring that every meal starts with balance, readiness, and a touch of sensory delight. 5. The esophagus, a gentle passage. The esophagus is a quiet traveler's road, a sheltered corridor guiding food from the mouth to the stomach with calm precision. At first glance, it may seem simple, just a straight tube running down the neck and into the chest, yet its role is essential, and the way it works is far more coordinated than it might appear. Though it takes only a few seconds for food to pass through, every swallow is a carefully timed sequence involving muscles, nerves, and reflexes working in perfect harmony. Once food has been chewed, softened, and shaped into a moist bolus in the mouth, it begins its descent. The journey starts with swallowing, or deglutition, which can be divided into 3 stages: the oral phase, the pharyngeal phase, and the esophageal phase. In the oral phase, the tongue gently pushes the bolus to the back of the mouth. This is the only stage under voluntary control. Once the food reaches the throat, the body takes over. In the pharyngeal phase, the soft palate rises to close off the nasal cavity, ensuring food travels downward rather than upward into the nose. At the same time, the larynx lifts, and the epiglottis, a small flap of cartilage, folds over the opening to the airway. This moment is crucial. It diverts food away from the trachea and into the entrance of the esophagus, protecting the lungs from inhaling food or drink. These movements happen so quickly and smoothly that we rarely notice them, unless something briefly interrupts the process, as in the familiar, mild surprise of a sip going down the wrong way. Now begins the esophageal phase, a journey of about 25 centimeters in the average adult. At the top of the esophagus sits the upper esophageal sphincter, UES, a muscular valve that opens just long enough for the bolus to pass through. Normally, it stays closed, preventing air from entering the digestive tract and keeping esophageal contents from moving upward into the throat. The walls of the esophagus are arranged in layers, each serving a purpose. The innermost layer, the mucosa, is smooth, moist, and lined with cells that secrete mucus. This mucus forms a delicate film that protects the tissue from friction as food passes through. Beneath the mucosa lies the submucosa, a layer containing blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and nerves, a network that nourishes the tissue and communicates with the rest of the digestive system. Deeper still are the muscular layers, an inner ring of circular muscle and an outer layer of longitudinal muscle. These two layers work together in a graceful sequence to produce peristalsis, the wave-like contractions that move the bolus toward the stomach. Peristalsis is not a push from behind, nor a pull from ahead, but a coordinated squeeze and release that progresses in a steady rhythm. As the circular muscles contract just above the bolus, they narrow the passage, pushing it forward. Meanwhile, the longitudinal muscles shorten the section of esophagus ahead, drawing the tube slightly upward to receive the bolus. These movements repeat, one after the other, creating a smooth wave that carries the food without pause. Though gravity assists when you are upright, peristalsis is entirely capable of moving food even against it. This is why astronauts in microgravity, or people lying flat, can still swallow without difficulty. The system is self-reliant, designed to work in any position, guided entirely by muscle coordination and the signals of the enteric nervous system, the second brain of the gut. As the bolus approaches the lower end of the esophagus, it encounters another muscular valve, the lower esophageal sphincter, LES. This ring of muscle normally stays closed, creating a barrier between the esophagus and the stomach. This is important because the stomach contains strong hydrochloric acid, capable of breaking down food but also potentially harmful to the unprotected lining of the esophagus. The LES opens only when a swallow wave reaches it, allowing the bolus to pass into the stomach, then quickly closes again to prevent backflow. The LES also responds to subtle cues. It can relax slightly in response to the smell or anticipation of food, preparing the passage for what is to come. It can also adjust its tone depending on body position, meal size, and even emotional state. In moments of stress, muscle tension in the esophagus and sphincters may change slightly, sometimes giving the sensation of a lump in the throat. In calm, resting states, especially under the influence of the parasympathetic nervous system, the movements are smooth, easy, and almost imperceptible. Although the esophagus is not involved in chemical digestion, no significant breakdown of food occurs here. Beyond the continuation of enzyme action begun in the mouth, it plays a vital mechanical role. Without it, there would be no way to transport food efficiently from the mouth to the stomach. It is the link between tasting and breaking down food at the start of the journey, and the more complex processes of mixing, dissolving, and absorbing that follow. This section of the digestive tract is also home to sensory feedback systems. If a bolus is too large, too dry, or moves too slowly, sensory nerves in the esophageal wall send signals that may trigger additional swallows, encourage stronger peristaltic waves, or prompt you to take a sip of water. In rare cases, if something cannot pass, the esophagus can initiate a gentle reverse movement, allowing the material to be brought back to the mouth. This is not the same as vomiting, which involves the stomach, but a simpler protective reflex. Small, everyday experiences often remind us of the esophagus's presence. The slow, satisfying sensation of a warm drink traveling downward on a cold day, the way a swallow clears the throat, or the hiccup, a brief, involuntary contraction of the diaphragm that can momentarily disrupt swallowing, all have their roots in this part of the digestive system. Even the way we sometimes swallow twice, unconsciously, to ensure everything has moved along, is a sign of the esophagus fine-tuning its work. As the bolus crosses the threshold of the LES, it enters the stomach, where a different environment awaits one of churning movement and strong chemical action. Yet the transition is seamless. The stomach is prepared, having been signaled by the earlier stages of digestion to begin releasing gastric juices and readying its muscular walls. The esophagus, meanwhile, rests until the next swallow begins the sequence again. This quiet passage is a study in efficiency. It has no need for the elaborate sensory processing of the mouth or the powerful chemical reactions of the stomach. Instead, it excels in its role as a connector, reliable, adaptable, and unobtrusive. Its movements are so well rehearsed that they rarely draw attention, allowing the act of eating to feel effortless. In the broader journey of digestion, the esophagus is like a shaded path between two bustling towns. It is not the place of gathering or transformation, but the peaceful stretch that ensures the traveler moves forward safely and without delay. In this stillness, there is purpose, a purpose that, like much of the digestive system, works best when it is unnoticed. From here, our exploration will enter the stomach, a place where the gentle movements of the esophagus give way to vigorous churning, and where the real chemical transformation of food begins. But as we leave this calm corridor, it is worth appreciating its role, a steadfast guide, carrying each meal on its way with quiet strength and unerring direction. 6. The stomach, a patient mixer. The stomach is often imagined as a simple pouch where food rests before moving onward. But in truth, it is a remarkable chamber of transformation. Nestled just beneath the diaphragm, it sits slightly to the left of the body's center, shaped like a gently curved, muscular sac. Here, the digestive process takes a more vigorous turn. What arrives from the esophagus as a soft, well-formed bolus will leave as chyme a smooth, partially digested mixture, ready for the intricate absorption process of the small intestine. When food passes through the lower esophageal sphincter and enters the stomach, it enters a carefully prepared environment. Even before the first bite, the stomach may already be in motion. The sight, smell, and even thought of food can trigger nerve signals that cause its glands to begin releasing gastric juices. This anticipatory phase is known as the cephalic phase of digestion, a gentle reminder that the stomach is never isolated from the rest of the digestive system, but instead listens and responds to cues from the senses and the brain. Structurally, the stomach is divided into several regions. The cardia, where the esophagus meets the stomach, the fundus, the rounded upper portion, the body, the main central section, and the pylorus, which connects to the small intestine. Each region plays a slightly different role. The upper sections primarily receive and store food, while the lower regions engage more actively in mixing and grinding. The muscular walls are made of 3 layers: longitudinal, circular, and an additional oblique layer not found in other parts of the digestive tract. This extra layer gives the stomach exceptional churning power, allowing it to knead and rotate its contents thoroughly. Inside the stomach's lining are millions of gastric glands, each opening into tiny pits in the mucosa. These glands release a combination of hydrochloric acid, digestive enzymes, mucus, and intrinsic factor. Hydrochloric acid creates a highly acidic environment with a pH around 1.5 to 3.5, ideal for breaking down tough protein structures and activating enzymes such as pepsin. This acidity also serves as a defense, destroying many of the microbes that may have entered with food. Pepsin, in turn, begins cutting long protein chains into smaller fragments called peptides, making them easier to digest later. Despite this strong acidity, the stomach's lining is protected by a coating of thick mucus. This mucus is not simply a passive shield, it contains bicarbonate ions that help neutralize acid right at the surface of the mucosa, creating a safe layer where stomach tissue can function without harm. The stomach also has a remarkable ability to renew its lining cells frequently, replacing them every few days to maintain their protective integrity. One of the stomach's most important roles is controlled storage. Rather than releasing food into the small intestine immediately, it holds it for a time, allowing a gradual, steady flow that the intestine can handle. The fundus and upper body of the stomach are particularly suited to this role, able to relax and expand as more food arrives. This process, known as receptive relaxation, is guided by nerve signals that adjust the tension in the stomach walls, ensuring comfort even after a large meal. Mixing begins almost as soon as food enters. Gentle waves ripple through the upper stomach, gradually increasing in strength as they move toward the pylorus. In the lower stomach, powerful contractions grind the food and mix it with gastric juices, breaking it down into smaller and smaller pieces. At the pyloric sphincter, the muscular valve between the stomach and the small intestine, these contractions push small portions of chyme forward, while larger fragments are pushed back into the stomach for further breakdown. This back and forth movement continues until nearly all the contents have reached a fine, semi-liquid consistency. The stomach's emptying process is carefully timed. Liquids may pass through relatively quickly, while solid foods require more churning and mixing before they are ready to move on. The rate also depends on the composition of the meal. Carbohydrates tend to leave the stomach sooner, proteins take longer, and fats slow the process the most. This pacing allows the small intestine to work efficiently, absorbing nutrients without becoming overwhelmed. Beyond its mechanical and chemical functions, the stomach also plays a role in nutrient preparation. It produces intrinsic factor, a glycoprotein essential for the absorption of vitamin B1-2 in the small intestine. Without intrinsic factor, even a diet rich in B1-2 could not supply the body's needs, showing that the stomach's contributions extend far beyond simple mixing. The stomach's activity is guided by both local and central controls. The enteric nervous system coordinates contractions and secretions based on what is inside, while hormones such as gastrin stimulate acid production and maintain motility. The stomach listens to feedback from the small intestine, as well signals from the duodenum can slow or speed emptying, depending on the intestine's readiness to receive more chyme. From a sensory perspective, the stomach is largely silent when working smoothly. You may occasionally feel it contract or hear a soft gurgle, especially when it is empty, but for the most part, its work is subtle. These sounds, known as borborygmi, are simply the result of moving fluid and air, and they occur in both full and empty states. When the stomach has completed its work, the chyme is ready for the next stage, the small intestine, where absorption will take place. But before it moves on, the stomach ensures that the chyme is well mixed, at the right acidity, and released in amounts that match the intestine's capacity. In this way, it acts not just as a mixer, but as a careful gatekeeper, regulating the flow of digestion. The stomach's rhythm is unhurried yet purposeful. It is not in a race, nor does it hold on too long without reason. Its contractions, secretions, and timing are all tuned to the needs of the body and the nature of the meal. Like a patient craftsman, it works steadily, shaping raw material into something ready for the next hands that will take it. In the journey of digestion, the stomach is a place of transformation. It receives, holds, stirs, and releases, turning the familiar shapes and textures of a meal into a uniform blend, ready to nourish the body. And though its work is hidden from sight, it is a place of constant motion, a chamber where chemistry and movement meet in perfect cooperation. From here, the chyme will enter the small intestine, where the pace of digestion shifts again from breakdown to absorption, from preparation to distribution. But the journey through the stomach, with its careful patience and unceasing motion, remains one of the most vital stages in the digestive process, a quiet workshop at the center of the body's nourishment. 7. The small intestine, the center of absorption. The small intestine is the heart of the digestive process, a long, winding passage where food's transformation into nourishment reaches its most important stage. While the stomach specializes in breaking food into a soft, uniform mixture, The small intestine is where the real exchange between food and body takes place. Here, nutrients pass from the digestive tract into the blood and lymph, becoming available to every organ, every muscle, and every cell. Despite its name, the small intestine is not small in length. In an average adult, it stretches about 6 meters, coiled neatly within the abdominal cavity. Its small designation refers to its diameter narrower than the large intestine. Yet within this slender frame lies a vast surface area, specially adapted to absorb the nutrients the body depends on. This is achieved through layers of folds, finger-like projections called villi, and microscopic extensions known as microvilli. Together, they create a surface so large that if fully spread out, it would cover an area comparable to a tennis court. The journey through the small intestine begins at the pyloric sphincter, where chyme from the stomach is released in controlled portions into the duodenum, the first section of the small intestine. The duodenum is a place of mixing and chemical preparation. Here, secretions from the pancreas bring enzymes to break down proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Pancreatic amylase continues the work of salivary amylase, reducing complex carbohydrates into simple sugars. Proteases, such as trypsin and chymotrypsin, break proteins into smaller peptides, while lipase, aided by bile salts from the liver and gallbladder, disperses fats into tiny droplets for easier digestion. Bile itself is a crucial partner in fat digestion. Produced in the liver and stored in the gallbladder, bile contains bile salts that act like detergents, breaking large fat globules into smaller ones in a process called emulsification. This increases the surface area available for lipase to work, making the breakdown and absorption of fats much more efficient. The duodenum also receives bicarbonate from the pancreas, which neutralizes the acidic chyme coming from the stomach, creating an environment in which intestinal enzymes can function effectively. After the duodenum, the chyme moves into the jejunum, the middle section of the small intestine. The jejunum is where much of the absorption takes place. Its villi and microvilli are especially dense here, creating an immense absorptive surface. Nutrients cross the lining in different ways. Some pass directly into the blood vessels within the villi, while others, particularly fats, enter small lymphatic vessels called lacteals before eventually joining the bloodstream. Glucose and other simple sugars, amino acids from proteins, water-soluble vitamins, and minerals such as calcium and iron are absorbed here. Each nutrient has its own transport system, many of which rely on the energy of the body's cells to actively move substances from the intestine into the blood. Water follows through osmosis, drawn in as nutrients are absorbed, ensuring that the body remains hydrated and balanced. The final section of the small intestine, the ileum, continues absorption, focusing on nutrients that were not taken up earlier. This includes bile salts, which are recycled back to the liver for reuse, and vitamin B12, which is absorbed with the help of intrinsic factor produced in the stomach. By the time chyme leaves the ileum and enters the large intestine, most digestible nutrients have already been claimed, leaving mainly water, fiber, and waste products. The movement of chyme through the small intestine is guided by a combination of peristalsis and segmentation. Peristalsis, the gentle wave-like motion that also drives food down the esophagus, moves chyme steadily forward. Segmentation, on the other hand, is a rhythmic squeezing and relaxing of the intestinal walls in multiple locations at once, mixing the chyme and bringing it into repeated contact with the absorptive surfaces. These two patterns ensure that digestion and absorption occur thoroughly, without rushing the process. The small intestine is also a place of subtle communication. Its walls contain a dense network of nerves and hormone-producing cells that sense the chemical composition of the chyme and adjust digestion accordingly. If fats are present, for example, the hormone cholecystokinin, CCK, is released, prompting the gallbladder to contract and the pancreas to release more enzymes. If acidity is high, secretin is released, stimulating the pancreas to secrete bicarbonate. These signals keep the process in balance, matching the small intestine's needs to the activity of the organs that support it. Within this environment lives a smaller population of bacteria than in the large intestine, but they are still important. These microbes help break down certain carbohydrates and produce small amounts of vitamins. Their presence also helps train and regulate the immune system, ensuring that the intestine remains both a place of absorption and a place of defense. From a sensory point of view, the work of the small intestine is almost entirely silent. Its activity is steady and unhurried, moving in time with the body's needs. You might only notice its presence during moments of strong movement, perhaps as a faint gurgle or shifting sensation in the abdomen. But even these sounds are gentle reminders of the constant care taking place within. As chyme travels through this remarkable organ, it is transformed yet again from a nutrient-rich mixture into the individual building blocks the body requires. What began as a meal is now no longer food in the ordinary sense. It has become part of you, ready to be carried in the blood to fuel movement, thought, repair, and growth. The small intestine does its work without ceremony, yet it is here that the essential act of nourishing life truly occurs. From this long, folded passage, what remains will move onward into the large intestine, where water will be reclaimed and the final stages of digestion will take place. But before leaving the small intestine, every meal passes through a place of unmatched efficiency and quiet generosity, a space where, in every moment, life is sustained in the most direct way possible. 8. The liver, the body's nutrient workshop. The liver is one of the most remarkable organs in the human body, a vast and silent workshop that quietly manages an extraordinary variety of tasks. Tucked under the right side of the rib cage, just beneath the diaphragm, it is the largest internal organ, weighing roughly 1.5 kilograms in the average adult. Its presence is steady and constant, a place where nutrients are processed, toxins are neutralized, and countless chemical reactions unfold without pause. In the context of digestion, the liver plays a central role, transforming what arrives from the small intestine into forms that can be stored, used, or distributed to other parts of the body. Structurally, the liver is divided into two main lobes, right and left, each made up of thousands of tiny units called lobules. Each lobule is a hexagon-shaped cluster of liver cells, or hepatocytes, arranged around a central vein. Running between these cells is a rich network of blood vessels and bile ducts, forming a system that can handle both incoming and outgoing materials at the same time. This design allows the liver to work with remarkable efficiency, processing vast amounts of blood and producing essential substances without disruption. One of the liver's key roles in digestion is the production of bile. Bile is a yellow-green fluid that contains bile salts, cholesterol, and waste products such as bilirubin, which is formed from the breakdown of old red blood cells. The bile salts are the active agents in fat digestion. They act like natural detergents, emulsifying large fat droplets into smaller ones, making them easier for enzymes in the small intestine to break down. Once bile is produced by the liver, it can flow directly into the small intestine or be stored in the gallbladder until it is needed. Blood carrying nutrients from the small intestine does not travel directly into the general circulation. Instead, it passes through the hepatic portal vein, which delivers it straight to the liver. This arrangement is deliberate. By processing nutrients before they enter the wider bloodstream, the liver can regulate levels of glucose, amino acids, and fats, ensuring a steady supply without dangerous spikes or shortages. If there is excess glucose, the liver converts it into glycogen for storage. When blood sugar drops, glycogen can be broken back down into glucose and released. In this way, the liver maintains balance, a quiet guardian of the body's energy supply. Proteins, too, are handled with care in the liver. Amino acids absorbed from the intestine may be used immediately to build new proteins, or they may be altered into other compounds needed by the body. The liver also removes ammonia, a toxic byproduct of protein metabolism, converting it into urea, which can be safely excreted in the urine. This process happens continuously, preventing the buildup of substances that could harm the body's delicate balance. The liver's role extends beyond nutrients. It acts as a detoxification center, filtering out harmful chemicals and breaking down drugs, alcohol, and environmental toxins. Specialized cells called Kupffer cells patrol the liver's blood channels, removing bacteria, old blood cells, and other debris. These tasks may seem separate from digestion, yet they are deeply connected. Every meal carries not only nutrients but also substances that must be managed or removed. In addition to processing and detoxifying, the liver stores essential vitamins and minerals. Fat-soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, and K are kept here, as are significant reserves of iron and copper. These stores ensure that the body can draw on a supply even when dietary intake is low. The liver releases these reserves in carefully measured amounts, guided by the body's needs. Hormonal control also runs through the liver. It plays a role in activating or breaking down certain hormones, helping regulate systems far beyond digestion. For example, the liver modifies thyroid hormones and contributes to the balance of steroid hormones such as estrogen and cortisol. This work is quiet, invisible, and constant, a background rhythm supporting the body's many interwoven processes. The liver's relationship with the digestive system is dynamic. When a meal rich in fats arrives in the duodenum, hormones such as cholecystokinin signal the gallbladder to release stored bile, while the liver continues to produce fresh bile for ongoing digestion. As the small intestine absorbs nutrients, the hepatic portal vein delivers them to the liver for sorting, storage, or release. In this way, every bite of food passes through the liver's workshop before becoming part of the body's living structure. One of the most remarkable aspects of the liver is its regenerative ability. If a portion of the liver is damaged or removed, the remaining tissue can grow back to its original size, provided the overall structure remains healthy. This regeneration is not a quick burst, but a gradual, well-regulated process. One more example of the liver's measured approach to maintaining balance. From a sensory perspective, the liver works entirely in silence. There is no sensation of its filtering blood, no awareness of bile being produced, no feeling of glycogen being stored or released. Yet without this unseen activity, digestion could not proceed smoothly. Fats would remain difficult to break down, toxins would accumulate, and nutrient levels in the blood would swing wildly. In the larger journey of digestion, the liver acts as both an assistant and a guardian. It supports the small intestine by producing bile, and it supports the whole body by ensuring that nutrients are safe, balanced, and ready for use. It is a place where the raw materials of life are refined, where waste is separated from what can be used, and where reserves are kept for the future. From here, our journey will move to the gallbladder, a small but important companion to the liver. While the liver works constantly, the gallbladder stores its bile until the moment it is needed, releasing it in perfect coordination with the arrival of fats in the small intestine. Together, these two organs form a partnership that ensures one of the most challenging aspects of digestion. The breakdown of fats happens with ease and precision. 9. The gallbladder, keeper of the bile reserve. The gallbladder is a small, pear-shaped organ tucked beneath the right lobe of the liver. In size, it measures only about 8 to 10 centimeters in length, and yet it plays an important role in the orchestration of digestion. While the liver works steadily to produce bile, the gallbladder's task is to store and concentrate this precious digestive fluid, holding it until the precise moment it is needed. Its work is quiet and infrequent compared to other digestive organs. But when the time comes, its actions are decisive and well-timed. Bile production is constant in the liver, but digestion does not always require it in equal measure. Between meals, when the small intestine is at rest, bile flows from the liver through small ducts and into the gallbladder for safekeeping. The gallbladder's lining draws water out of the stored bile, concentrating it until it is several times stronger than it was when first produced. This concentrated bile is especially effective at breaking down fats when it is finally released. The gallbladder is connected to the liver and small intestine by a network of bile ducts. The cystic duct links the gallbladder to the common bile duct, which in turn joins with the pancreatic duct before entering the duodenum at a small opening called the major duodenal papilla. At this point of entry sits the sphincter of Oddi, a muscular valve that controls the flow of bile and pancreatic juices into the small intestine. This valve remains closed most of the time, keeping bile stored in the gallbladder until food arrives. When a meal containing fats enters the duodenum, the small intestine responds by releasing the hormone cholecystokinin, or CCK. This hormone signals the gallbladder to contract, squeezing its stored bile through the cystic duct into the common bile duct and onward into the intestine. At the same time, the sphincter of Oddi relaxes, allowing bile to flow freely. The timing of this release is finely tuned, occurring just as fats are arriving, ensuring they are emulsified efficiently for digestion by pancreatic lipase. The process of emulsification is essential. Fats are naturally hydrophobic, tending to clump together in large droplets that resist mixing with the watery environment of the intestine. Bile salts, the active components of bile, coat these droplets and break them into much smaller ones, greatly increasing the surface area available for enzymes to act upon. Without bile, the digestion and absorption of fats and fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K would be far less efficient. The gallbladder's contribution to digestion is intermittent but vital. It may remain still for hours between meals, quietly holding its contents, then spring into action within minutes of being signaled. After the meal is processed, the gallbladder gradually refills, readying itself for the next occasion. This cycle of storage and release is repeated throughout life, often unnoticed unless something disturbs its function. From an anatomical perspective, the gallbladder is simple in design. Its walls are made of smooth muscle that contracts in response to hormonal and nerve signals. The inner lining, or mucosa, has folds that allow it to expand and contract easily, much like the lining of the stomach. Beneath the mucosa lies a thin layer of connective tissue, and on the outside, a serous membrane that blends seamlessly with the surrounding structures. This simple construction belies the precision of its role within the digestive system. While the gallbladder's presence often goes unremarked, it is closely tied to the liver's work. Without the gallbladder, bile would still be produced, but it would trickle steadily into the small intestine, even when it was not needed. The gallbladder's ability to concentrate and deliver bile in a single, well-timed release ensures that digestion remains efficient, particularly when the meal is rich in fats. Its role also supports the recycling of bile salts. Once fats are digested and bile salts have played their part, they are absorbed in the ileum of the small intestine and returned to the liver via the portal circulation. This cycle, known as the enterohepatic circulation, allows bile salts to be reused many times, conserving the body's resources. The gallbladder participates in this cycle by providing a temporary reservoir, ensuring that fresh bile is always ready for the next meal. From a sensory standpoint, the gallbladder's work is entirely silent. You cannot feel it store bile, nor do you sense it contracting to release it. Yet every time you enjoy a meal containing fats, from a spoonful of olive oil to a piece of buttered bread, the gallbladder is there, working in perfect coordination with the liver, pancreas, and small intestine to ensure digestion proceeds smoothly. In the grand sequence of the digestive journey, the gallbladder's task is a supporting one. yet it is a support without which the process would be less efficient. It acts as a keeper of reserves, a quiet steward that waits patiently until its moment comes, and then acts decisively before returning to stillness. From here, our journey will move to the pancreas, an organ with a dual personality, both a digestive gland and a regulator of blood sugar. In its digestive role, the pancreas works alongside the gallbladder and liver, delivering powerful enzymes into the small intestine to break down carbohydrates, proteins, and fats into their simplest forms. Together, these three organs form a partnership that ensures every major nutrient is made available for absorption, completing one of the most delicate and coordinated stages of the digestive process. 10. The pancreas, a versatile helper. The pancreas is a soft, elongated gland tucked deep within the abdomen, lying just behind the stomach and nestled into the curve of the duodenum. Despite its modest size, usually around 15 centimeters in length, it performs two entirely different yet equally important roles. One is dedicated to digestion, producing a stream of enzymes that break food into its smallest usable components. The other is concerned with the balance of blood sugar, releasing hormones that regulate the energy available to every cell in the body. In this way, the pancreas is both a digestive organ and an endocrine gland, working constantly and quietly in the background. From the perspective of digestion, the pancreas functions as an exocrine gland, meaning it sends its secretions into a duct that leads to the small intestine, rather than releasing them directly into the bloodstream. Its exocrine tissue produces a clear, enzyme-rich fluid that flows into the main pancreatic duct, eventually joining the common bile duct before entering the duodenum at the same location as bile from the gallbladder. The enzymes in this fluid are crucial for the chemical breakdown of all three major macronutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. For carbohydrates, the pancreas produces pancreatic amylase, which continues the work begun by salivary amylase in the mouth, breaking complex starches into simple sugars like maltose. For proteins, it produces proteases including trypsin and chymotrypsin, which cut long protein chains into smaller peptides. For fats, the pancreas provides lipase, an enzyme that works in cooperation with bile salts to split triglycerides into glycerol and free fatty acids, making them ready for absorption by the intestinal lining. In addition to enzymes, the pancreatic fluid contains bicarbonate ions. These bicarbonates are essential for neutralizing the acidic chyme arriving from the stomach, creating an environment in which the intestinal enzymes can function optimally. Without this buffering action, the acidity could damage the delicate lining of the small intestine and interfere with the activity of enzymes that require a neutral or slightly alkaline pH. The secretion of pancreatic juice is carefully regulated. When chyme enters the duodenum, two key hormones are released by the intestinal lining: secretin and cholecystokinin, CCK. Secretin stimulates the pancreas to release bicarbonate-rich fluid, while CCK prompts the release of enzyme-rich fluid. Together, these hormonal signals ensure that the pancreatic response matches the composition of the meal, with more enzymes for protein or fat-heavy foods and more bicarbonate when the chyme is particularly acidic. Beyond its digestive role, the pancreas is also an endocrine organ, producing hormones that regulate the body's use of glucose. This function takes place in small clusters of cells scattered throughout the pancreas, known as the islets of Langerhans. These islets contain several types of hormone-producing cells, the most prominent being beta cells, which secrete insulin, and alpha cells, which secrete glucagon. Insulin lowers blood glucose levels by encouraging cells throughout the body to absorb and store glucose for energy or future use. Glucagon, on the other hand, raises blood glucose by prompting the liver to release stored glycogen as glucose into the bloodstream. The balance between these two hormones keeps the body's energy supply steady, ensuring that every cell receives the fuel it needs without dangerous fluctuations. This dual role, digestive enzyme production on one hand and blood sugar regulation on the other, makes the pancreas a uniquely versatile organ. In the context of the digestive system, its enzyme production is perfectly timed to coincide with the arrival of food in the small intestine. But even when no digestion is taking place, the pancreas remains active in its hormonal role, constantly monitoring and adjusting blood sugar levels to maintain equilibrium. Anatomically, the pancreas is divided into three regions: the head, which nestles into the curve of the duodenum, the body, which extends across the midline, and the tail, which tapers toward the spleen. Its position allows it to connect closely with both the digestive tract and the circulatory system, serving as a bridge between nutrient breakdown and nutrient distribution. The pancreatic ducts branch and join with remarkable precision, ensuring that its secretions flow freely and mix evenly with bile before entering the intestine. From a sensory standpoint, the pancreas works in complete silence. There is no sensation of enzymes being released or hormones adjusting blood sugar levels. Its presence is felt only in the harmony. It helps create meals digested efficiently, nutrients made available, energy levels kept steady. Without its work, digestion would slow to a crawl, and the balance of blood sugar would be far more difficult to maintain. In the grand journey of digestion, the pancreas acts as a skilled technician and an attentive caretaker. It arrives at the right moment with exactly the tools required, breaking food down into its smallest components and preparing them for absorption. At the same time, it oversees the steady delivery of energy throughout the body, ensuring that the nutrients it helps to release are put to use. From here, our journey will move to the large intestine, where digestion's pace slows and the focus shifts from nutrient breakdown to water reclamation and the preparation of waste for elimination. The work of the pancreas will already be complete by the time the chyme arrives there, but its quiet influence will continue to be felt in the absorbed nutrients circulating in the blood and in the steady supply of energy available to every part of the body. 11. The large intestine, the final gathering. The large intestine marks the final stage of the digestive journey. By the time chyme reaches this wide, muscular tube, most nutrients have already been absorbed in the small intestine. What remains is a mixture of water, electrolytes, undigested fiber, and waste products from the digestive process. The large intestine's role is not to continue nutrient breakdown, but to recover water, absorb certain remaining minerals, support a thriving population of beneficial bacteria, and prepare waste for elimination. Its work is slower and more deliberate than earlier stages, allowing time for these final adjustments before the digestive process concludes. In adults, the large intestine is about 1.5 meters long and wider in diameter than the small intestine, hence the name large. It begins at the cecum, a pouch-like structure in the lower right abdomen, where the small intestine connects through the ileocecal valve. Attached to the cecum is the appendix, a narrow, finger-like projection once thought to be without function, but now believed to play a role in immune support and maintaining a healthy balance of gut bacteria. From the cecum, the large intestine ascends along the right side of the abdomen, as the ascending colon turns sharply beneath the liver to form the transverse colon, then travels across to the left side, where it becomes the descending colon. From there, it curves into the shaped sigmoid colon before ending at the rectum and anal canal. This structure forms a frame around the loops of the small intestine, holding a steady position within the abdominal cavity. The inner surface of the large intestine is lined with a mucosa that secretes mucus to lubricate the passage of its contents. Beneath this lining, a thick layer of circular and longitudinal muscles works to move material forward. The movements here are slower than in the small intestine, with long pauses between contractions. This unhurried pace gives time for water and electrolytes such as sodium and potassium to be absorbed back into the body. Water reclamation is one of the large intestine's most important functions. Every day, the digestive system secretes several liters of fluid into the gut to aid in digestion and absorption. By the time the chyme reaches the large intestine, much of this fluid has already been reabsorbed, but the large intestine recovers most of what remains. Without this process, the body would lose far more water than it could sustain, leading to dehydration. Another defining feature of the large intestine is its relationship with the gut microbiota, the vast community of bacteria that live within it. These microbes number in the trillions and include hundreds of species, each contributing in different ways to digestion, immunity, and overall health. While they do not digest food in the same way human enzymes do, they excel at breaking down certain fibers and plant compounds that our own digestive enzymes cannot process. In doing so, they produce short-chain fatty acids, which can be absorbed by the colon's lining and used as a source of energy. The gut microbiota also synthesizes certain vitamins, such as vitamin K and some B vitamins, providing an additional contribution to the body's nutrient supply. Beyond their nutritional roles, these microbes help maintain a balanced immune system, train the body to recognize friendly and harmful microorganisms, and prevent harmful bacteria from gaining a foothold. Movement through the large intestine is guided by two main patterns: slow, mixing contractions that allow contact between the contents and the absorptive lining, and occasional stronger waves called mass movements, which push material forward more decisively. These mass movements often occur after eating, triggered by the gastrocolic reflex, a connection between the stomach and colon that helps coordinate the overall flow of digestion. As water is absorbed and the contents become more compact, they transform from a soft, liquid consistency into solid waste known as feces. This material is stored in the rectum until the body is ready for elimination. The presence of feces in the rectum triggers stretch receptors that send signals to the brain, initiating the urge to defecate. This process involves the relaxation of the internal anal sphincter, a smooth muscle under involuntary control, and the external anal sphincter, a skeletal muscle under voluntary control, allowing elimination to be delayed until appropriate. The large intestine works without urgency, often taking 12 to 24 hours or more to move material from the cecum to the rectum. This slow passage allows not only for water recovery but also for the gut bacteria to carry out their fermenting activity at a comfortable pace. This is why, despite its reduced role in nutrient absorption, the large intestine is essential to digestive balance. From a sensory point of view, the large intestine is usually quiet. It produces occasional gurgles or shifts in sensation, often when gas moves through its chambers, but otherwise its work is felt only indirectly. It is the place where digestion transitions fully into elimination, where the body finishes its work of separating what can be used from what must be released. In the broader journey of digestion, the large intestine is like a peaceful sorting room at the end of a long production line. It gathers, organizes, and prepares for departure, making sure nothing valuable is lost and that everything is ready for its final stage. Without it, the body would lose too much water, beneficial bacteria would have no stable home, and certain vitamins would be in shorter supply. From here, our exploration will move to the rectum and anal canal, the final gateways of the digestive tract. In these last steps, the waste produced over hours of digestion will leave the body, completing a journey that began with a single bite. Yet even as this cycle ends, another will begin, as the body continues its unbroken rhythm of receiving, transforming, and nourishing. 12. The rectum and anal canal. The final stage. The rectum and anal canal form the concluding passage of the digestive system, the final stage in a journey that began with the first chew of a meal. By the time waste reaches this point, it has been thoroughly processed. Nutrients have been absorbed in the small intestine, water reclaimed in the large intestine, and what remains is a compact mixture of indigestible fibers, microbial byproducts, and other materials the body cannot use. The purpose of the rectum and anal canal is to store this waste temporarily and then release it in a controlled and timely way. The rectum, typically about 12 to 15 centimeters in length, lies at the very end of the large intestine. Its walls are muscular and lined with a mucous membrane, which helps ease the passage of material. Unlike the earlier segments of the large intestine, the rectum's primary function is not to absorb water or minerals, but to act as a storage chamber. Here, feces accumulate until the body is ready for elimination. When waste enters the rectum from the sigmoid colon, it triggers stretch receptors embedded in the rectal walls. These receptors send signals through sensory nerves to the spinal cord and brain, generating the awareness of fullness, the urge to defecate. The response is carefully managed by a combination of involuntary and voluntary controls, allowing for flexibility and timing. This coordination ensures that elimination can be delayed until conditions are suitable, maintaining comfort and dignity. At the junction between the rectum and the anal canal lies the internal anal sphincter, a ring of smooth muscle that remains contracted most of the time. This sphincter is under involuntary control, relaxing automatically when the rectum fills and the urge to pass stool begins. Beyond this lies the external anal sphincter, made of skeletal muscle, which is under voluntary control. It allows conscious decision over when to complete the process, keeping elimination under personal control until the moment is right. The anal canal itself is short, only about 2 to 4 centimeters in length, but it plays a vital role. Its lining is uniquely adapted to its dual function. The upper part contains mucus-secreting cells that lubricate the passage, while the lower part is lined with skin-like epithelium that can tolerate external exposure. The transition between these two linings occurs at the pectinate line, an anatomical landmark that also marks a change in nerve supply. Above this line, sensation is minimal, while below it, the canal is sensitive to touch, temperature, and pain. This sensitivity helps distinguish between different types of material, allowing the body to respond appropriately. When the moment for elimination arrives, the process begins with the relaxation of the external anal sphincter, aided by the coordinated contraction of the rectal muscles and the abdominal wall. This combination increases pressure within the rectum, helping expel its contents. The diaphragm also plays a role, moving downward to further increase pressure in the abdominal cavity. Breathing briefly pauses as the pelvic floor muscles adjust, ensuring that the passage is smooth and complete. After elimination, the anal sphincters return to their resting state, and the rectum becomes relatively empty again. A small amount of mucus remains in the canal to maintain lubrication and comfort. The digestive system, having completed one cycle, is already preparing for the next, breaking down new food, absorbing nutrients, and sending waste onward toward this final stage once more. Although the rectum and anal canal are concerned solely with waste removal, their importance to the digestive process is undeniable. They provide storage that allows digestion to proceed without constant interruption, and their finely tuned control mechanisms allow elimination to occur in a manner that supports health, hygiene, and social ease. Without this stage, waste would pass uncontrollably through the body, leading to discomfort and loss of essential water and electrolytes. From a sensory standpoint, the rectum and anal canal are among the few parts of the digestive tract whose activity we consciously perceive on a regular basis. While the stomach and intestines work quietly and unnoticed, the urge to empty the rectum is a clear and deliberate signal, ensuring that the process is attended to promptly. This is the body's way of closing the loop, literally and figuratively, on the complex sequence of digestion. In the broader view, the rectum and anal canal represent more than just an endpoint. They are the final gatekeepers of the digestive system, concluding a process that may have taken 24 to 48 hours from the moment food first entered the mouth. Every stage before this, chewing, swallowing, churning, mixing, absorbing, has been about transforming food into nourishment. Here, the focus shifts entirely to the removal of what is no longer needed, ensuring that the body remains balanced and ready to begin again. With this final act, the digestive system's work for a given meal is complete. Yet even as one cycle ends, another is always beginning, in the steady, unbroken rhythm of life. The rectum and anal canal, though often overlooked in discussions of digestion, are essential to this rhythm, bringing closure to the process with quiet efficiency and perfect coordination. 13. The digestive system's supporting cast: blood vessels, nerves, and hormones. Beneath the visible movements of chewing, swallowing, and digestion, there is a quieter world that sustains the entire process. While the stomach churns and the intestines absorb, there is a constant hum of support from systems we rarely think about: the vast network of blood vessels delivering nutrients and carrying away waste, the intricate web of nerves coordinating each muscular wave, and the silent messengers of the endocrine system sending chemical signals that fine-tune the process. These supporting elements form the backbone of digestion, allowing the visible organs to work in harmony without our conscious awareness. From the very first moment that nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine, the circulatory system steps in to carry them to where they are needed. Tiny capillaries wind through the core of each villus in the intestinal lining, ready to receive sugars, amino acids, minerals, and water-soluble vitamins. These capillaries merge into progressively larger veins that lead toward a central pathway: the hepatic portal vein. This special vein is unlike most others in the body, for instead of carrying blood directly back to the heart, it delivers it first to the liver. This is the hepatic portal system, a deliberate detour designed so that the liver can regulate nutrient levels, store excess for later use, and remove any potentially harmful substances before they circulate more widely. Within the liver's lobules, blood from the portal vein flows past rows of hepatocytes, or liver cells, which act as patient sorters and processors. Glucose may be stored as glycogen, amino acids may be repurposed or sent onward, and toxins may be broken down into harmless forms. Only after this careful review does the blood leave the liver through the hepatic veins, join the inferior vena cava, and return to the heart for distribution to the rest of the body. This step is quiet but essential without it. The internal balance of nutrients and waste would be far more unstable. Fats follow a slightly different path. Instead of entering capillaries directly, they slip into specialized lymphatic vessels within the villi, called lacteals. Here they are carried away as tiny droplets wrapped in proteins, known as chylomicrons. These move slowly through the lymphatic system, eventually joining the bloodstream near the heart. This detour keeps the liver from being immediately overwhelmed by large surges of fat after a meal, allowing a more gradual processing. Even in this difference of route, there is a sense of timing and pacing that reflects the digestive system's preference for steady rhythms. Just as the blood vessels act as the highways of digestion, the nervous system serves as its communication network. The walls of the digestive tract contain their own vast collection of neurons, the enteric nervous system often called the second brain for its complexity. These neurons are organized into two main layers: the myenteric plexus, which coordinates muscle contractions, and the submucosal plexus, which regulates secretions and local blood flow. The enteric nervous system is capable of functioning independently, creating local reflexes that respond instantly to changes inside the gut. Consider the moment when a segment of intestine is stretched by incoming food. Without any message to the brain, sensory neurons in that segment detect the stretch and signal nearby muscle layers to contract just behind the food and relax just ahead of it, gently moving it forward. At the same time, secretory cells are prompted to release digestive fluids, ensuring that chemical breakdown keeps pace with movement. These reflexes happen continuously, ensuring that each portion of the digestive tract works in harmony with the next. Although the enteric system can act on its own, it remains in close communication with the central nervous system through the autonomic nerves. The parasympathetic system, carried largely by the vagus nerve, encourages digestion, stimulating secretions, relaxing sphincters, and increasing the rhythmic contractions that move food along. This is the body's rest and digest mode, a state of calm in which digestion flows most smoothly. The sympathetic system, by contrast, slows or pauses digestion during times of stress or exertion, conserving energy for immediate survival needs. Together, these two influences help digestion adapt to the body's overall state, alongside the nerve signals that move in the blink of an eye. Chemical signals hormones work on a slightly slower timescale, guiding the digestive process over minutes and hours. These hormones are released into the bloodstream by specialized cells scattered through the stomach, small intestine, and pancreas. Gastrin, for instance, is produced in the stomach when food arrives, prompting the secretion of gastric acid and enhancing the stomach's muscular activity. Secretin, released by the duodenum in response to acidic chyme, signals the pancreas to release bicarbonate-rich fluid, neutralizing the acid and creating a safer environment for enzymes. Cholecystokinin, or CCK, is released when fats and proteins enter the small intestine, stimulating the gallbladder to contract and the pancreas to release enzyme-rich juice. Motilin, another intestinal hormone, helps coordinate the sweeping contractions that clear the small intestine between meals. Peptide YY, produced further along the intestine, slows gastric emptying and intestinal movement after a meal, allowing more time for nutrient absorption. Ghrelin, often called the hunger hormone, is secreted mainly by the stomach when it is empty, increasing appetite and preparing the body for incoming food. Other hormones, such as glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide and glucagon-like peptide 1, GLP-1, help regulate insulin release in response to nutrient levels. These hormones create a subtle but powerful layer of control, ensuring that the digestive process responds precisely to the type and quantity of food present. They are part of the reason why a fatty meal triggers more bile release, why an acidic bolus from the stomach is quickly buffered, and why the stomach does not empty all its contents at once. They do not rush or slow digestion without cause. Instead, they act like careful conductors, guiding each section of the digestive orchestra in time with the others. When viewed together, the blood vessels, nerves, and hormones of the digestive system form a quiet framework that supports every step of digestion. The vessels ensure that nutrients are delivered and waste is removed in a constant, balanced flow. The nerves keep movement and secretion synchronized from one end of the tract to the other, adjusting instantly to changes. The hormones add a longer rhythm, fine-tuning the process so that it is neither hurried nor delayed. Without these systems, the visible organs of digestion, the stomach, intestines, liver, and others, would be like performers without a stage crew. They might still function, but without the same precision, timing, and coordination. It is this invisible cooperation that allows digestion to feel effortless, even though it is a complex sequence of chemical, mechanical, and electrical events happening every moment of our lives. 14. The journey of a meal. From bite to nourishment. The act of eating may appear simple from the outside, a bite taken, a swallow made, a moment of enjoyment, but within the body, that bite begins a long and intricate journey. This is a journey measured not in minutes, but in hours, sometimes more than a day, as the food is transformed from familiar shapes and textures into invisible particles of nourishment. At each stage, the body's organs, fluids, and supporting systems work in a perfect sequence, passing the meal from one specialized station to the next. It is a journey that begins in the mouth and ends, much later, with the gentle departure of what cannot be used. The first step is not the swallow, but the moment food touches the lips and enters the mouth. Teeth begin their work at once, breaking larger pieces into smaller fragments, increasing the surface area for the chemical processes to come. Saliva flows from the salivary glands, softening and moistening each morsel, carrying enzymes like amylase that begin breaking down starches into simpler sugars. This combination of mechanical and chemical activity turns the bite into a cohesive mass called a bolus. It is here, at this earliest stage, that the senses of taste and smell play their role, not only adding to enjoyment, but also preparing the stomach and intestines through anticipatory signals carried by nerves and hormones. Swallowing is both voluntary and automatic. The tongue presses the bolus toward the back of the mouth, and reflexes take over. The soft palate lifts to block the nasal passage, and the epiglottis folds to guard the airway, directing food into the esophagus. Smooth, rhythmic contractions called peristalsis carry it downward, moving at a steady pace regardless of body position. Gravity may help when upright, but peristalsis is capable of carrying the bolus along even when lying down. At the lower end of the esophagus, the lower esophageal sphincter relaxes, opening the door to the stomach. Here the bolus meets an acidic environment, rich in gastric juices containing hydrochloric acid and enzymes like pepsin. The stomach's muscular walls churn and mix the contents with these secretions, reducing the food to a thick, soupy mixture called chyme. Proteins begin to break apart, and the stomach slowly releases small portions of chyme into the small intestine through the pyloric sphincter, ensuring that downstream processes have time to work thoroughly. Once in the duodenum, the chyme encounters the combined efforts of the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder. The pancreas contributes enzymes for carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, along with bicarbonate to neutralize the stomach acid. The liver produces bile, stored and concentrated in the gallbladder, which flows into the intestine to emulsify fats, breaking them into droplets that enzymes can digest more easily. This careful blending of chyme with digestive fluids sets the stage for absorption, the heart of the journey. As the meal passes through the jejunum and ileum, the lining of the small intestine, covered in villi and microvilli, takes up nutrients. Sugars and amino acids slip into the blood vessels, traveling first to the liver through the hepatic portal system. Fats enter lymphatic vessels before joining the bloodstream near the heart. Vitamins and minerals follow their own paths, each absorbed in the region best suited to their needs. Water moves in as well, balancing the fluid content of the body with the progress of digestion. This stage is both selective and complete, ensuring that the body receives what it requires from each mouthful. By the time the remains of the meal reach the large intestine, most nutrients have been absorbed. Now the pace slows, allowing the colon to reclaim water and electrolytes, while gut bacteria work on the remaining fibers and complex compounds. These microbes ferment certain fibers into short-chain fatty acids, producing energy for the cells lining the colon and generating small amounts of vitamins such as vitamin K. The large intestine's steady contractions move the contents toward the rectum, gradually changing their texture from liquid to soft solid. Storage in the rectum gives the body control over elimination, ensuring that waste can be released at a convenient time. The anal canal, with its internal and external sphincters, allows both involuntary readiness and voluntary control. When the moment comes, muscles coordinate to complete the journey, releasing what is no longer needed while leaving the body cleansed and balanced. This entire process from first bite to final departure can take anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, though the timing varies with the composition of the meal and the individual's own rhythm of digestion. Meals rich in fats tend to move more slowly, as the body takes its time to break them down, while meals high in fiber may pass more quickly through the intestines. Regardless of pace, the sequence remains the same, each stage passing the work to the next with quiet reliability. At no point does the meal move alone. At every step, blood vessels, nerves, and hormones work alongside the digestive organs to keep the process coordinated. Blood carries away nutrients to where they are needed most. Nerves sense the presence of food, and adjust muscle contractions to move it smoothly forward. Hormones fine-tune the release of enzymes, bile, and other secretions so that each arrives exactly when required. It is a choreography that happens without conscious effort, yet is vital to sustaining life. When viewed in this way, the journey of a meal is more than a series of mechanical steps. It is a story of transformation, in which something from the outside world becomes part of the body itself, fueling movement, repairing tissues, and supporting thought. Each bite begins as something separate, but by the end of this journey, it has been absorbed, changed, and woven into the living fabric of the self. What remains passes quietly away, and the cycle begins again, as it has for every meal throughout life. 15. The digestive system, at rest, nighttime functions, and repair. When the day draws to a close and the body slips into rest, the digestive system does not simply fall silent. Instead, it enters a gentler rhythm, one that emphasizes repair, renewal, and preparation for the next cycle of eating and nourishment. The pace of digestion slows, but the work continues in quieter ways. During sleep, the body's energy shifts toward maintenance tasks, repairing tissues, balancing fluid levels, and fine-tuning the internal environment, and the digestive tract is part of this restorative focus. If the evening meal was eaten a few hours before bedtime, the stomach may still be completing its work when sleep begins. Its muscular walls gently contract, continuing to mix food with gastric juices, while the pyloric sphincter regulates the release of chyme into the small intestine. This process is slower at night, reflecting both the body's reduced physical activity and the natural circadian rhythms that guide many internal functions. Hormones such as melatonin, best known for regulating sleep, also influence the gut, encouraging a calm and measured pace. In the small intestine, peristaltic waves keep moving the contents forward, though more slowly than during the day. Absorption continues, with nutrients from the final stages of digestion passing into the bloodstream or lymphatic vessels. As blood flow to the intestines remains steady, the liver quietly receives and processes these nutrients, converting some into storage forms such as glycogen and fat, while releasing others into circulation for immediate use. The liver also continues its detoxification work, breaking down byproducts of metabolism and any remaining substances absorbed from the digestive tract. The large intestine plays its part in the night's slower rhythm as well. Beneficial bacteria remain active, fermenting dietary fibers and producing short-chain fatty acids. These compounds not only nourish the cells lining the colon, but also support systemic health, influencing metabolism, immune function, and even aspects of brain chemistry. While the overall movement of material through the large intestine is reduced during sleep, there are still occasional contractions that help keep its contents evenly distributed and ready for the next active phase during the day. One of the most notable nighttime activities in the digestive system is the housekeeping function of the migrating motor complex. This is a series of slow, sweeping contractions that occur primarily in the small intestine between meals. At night, when no new food is entering the gut, these waves help clear away leftover particles, mucus, and bacteria, moving them toward the large intestine. This cleaning process ensures that the small intestine is refreshed and ready for efficient digestion when the next meal arrives. Rest also allows the cells of the digestive tract to repair themselves. The lining of the stomach and intestines is renewed frequently, as these cells are exposed to constant wear from food particles, digestive enzymes, and stomach acid. During sleep, when demands on the system are lower, more energy can be devoted to replacing old cells with new ones, strengthening the barrier that protects the body from harmful substances while allowing nutrients to pass through. This repair cycle is part of why adequate sleep is so closely linked to healthy digestion. Hormones involved in digestion follow their own daily patterns. Ghrelin, the hormone that stimulates appetite, naturally decreases during the night, helping the body maintain its restful state without the urge to eat. Leptin, which promotes feelings of fullness, tends to be higher during sleep, reinforcing the fast that occurs overnight. Other hormones, such as insulin, also find their balance during these hours, preparing the body for stable energy use the following day. Even though the digestive system is less active at night, it remains highly responsive to the body's needs. If a late meal was large or rich in fats, digestion may still be in full motion well into the night, potentially leading to a feeling of heaviness or discomfort. On the other hand, if the stomach has already emptied, the digestive tract rests more deeply, conserving energy for the morning's reawakening. This is why the timing and composition of the last meal can have such an influence on the quality of sleep and the ease of digestion. The liver's overnight activities deserve special attention. Without the steady influx of nutrients from daytime meals, the liver turns to its stored reserves, breaking down glycogen to release glucose into the blood, ensuring that the brain and other organs have a steady supply of energy through the night. It also continues to produce bile, storing it in the gallbladder for use when the next meal arrives. Meanwhile, its detoxifying enzymes work at a steady pace, helping to process substances absorbed earlier in the day. Throughout the night, the digestive system maintains a state of readiness, so that when morning comes and the first bite of food is taken, the transition back into active digestion is smooth and immediate. The stomach awakens to receive the meal. The pancreas prepares to release enzymes. The gallbladder is ready to deliver bile, and the intestines are freshened by the night's gentle cleansing waves. In this way, nighttime is not a pause in digestion, but a different mode, one of quiet maintenance and preparation. The journey of food may slow, but the work of keeping the digestive system strong and balanced never truly stops. This balance between activity and rest is part of the body's larger rhythm, a cycle that sustains life through the seamless cooperation of all its systems, awake or asleep. 16. Lifelong care for the digestive system. The digestive system is one of the body's most adaptable and enduring networks, designed to work steadily from the earliest days of life to the very last. It meets the needs of growth, supports the demands of daily living, and adjusts to changes in diet, activity, and health. Yet, like any finely tuned system, it benefits from gentle, consistent habits that help it remain strong and efficient through the decades. Lifelong digestive health is not about rigid rules, but about understanding the system's natural rhythms and supporting them with balance and respect. At its core, the digestive system thrives on regularity. Meals taken at roughly consistent times allow the stomach, intestines, and accessory organs to anticipate their work. The body's internal clocks, or circadian rhythms, influence not only sleep and wakefulness, but also the release of digestive enzymes, bile, and hormones. By eating in harmony with these rhythms, the system is less likely to experience discomfort or disruption. While occasional variations are well tolerated, the steady pattern of nourishment followed by rest helps keep digestion smooth. The composition of meals matters as much as their timing. A diet that includes a variety of nutrient sources, whole grains, fresh fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats provides the digestive system with the diverse inputs it is built to handle. Fiber, found in plant foods, plays a particularly important role. Insoluble fiber adds bulk to stool and helps maintain regular movement through the intestines, while soluble fiber feeds the beneficial bacteria in the colon, supporting the microbiota that contribute to digestion and immune health. Adequate fluid intake complements fiber's work, keeping the digestive tract well lubricated and aiding the smooth passage of material. Moderation is another ally of lifelong digestive health. Very large meals can place extra strain on the stomach and slow the passage of food through the intestines, while excessively rich or highly processed foods may trigger discomfort for some people. Listening to the body's signals, stopping when comfortably full, and choosing foods that promote steady energy helps prevent unnecessary stress on the system. The digestive tract responds well to meals that are neither rushed nor overwhelming, allowing it to work at its own deliberate pace. Physical activity also supports digestion over a lifetime. Gentle movement, whether walking, stretching, or other light exercise, encourages the natural muscular contractions of the intestines, helping to maintain regularity. Over time, an active lifestyle promotes healthy blood circulation, ensuring that the digestive organs receive a steady supply of oxygen and nutrients. It also supports metabolic balance, which in turn influences the efficiency of nutrient absorption and energy use. Just as important as movement is rest. The digestive system needs periods of low activity to focus on repair and renewal, as described in its nighttime functions. Adequate sleep allows the migrating motor complex to cleanse the small intestine, ensures that the lining of the stomach and intestines is renewed, and gives the liver uninterrupted time for detoxification and energy regulation. Over the years, this balance between activity and rest helps preserve the resilience of the entire system. Emotional well-being has a deep connection to digestive health as well. The enteric nervous system, the second brain within the gut, is highly responsive to stress. Persistent tension can slow or hasten intestinal movement, alter secretions, and influence the composition of the gut microbiota. Practices that promote calm, such as slow breathing, mindfulness, or time spent in quiet surroundings, can help maintain the gentle rhythm of digestion. Over a lifetime, this connection between mind and gut is as important as any dietary choice. Adaptation is part of caring for digestion in the long term. As the body ages, the efficiency of certain processes may change. The stomach may produce less acid, affecting protein breakdown. The intestines may absorb some nutrients more slowly, or the muscles that move food along may work at a gentler pace. Adjusting meal composition, texture, and frequency can help the digestive system meet these changes without strain. This might mean including more easily digestible proteins, ensuring adequate hydration, or spacing smaller meals throughout the day. Attention to the health of the gut microbiota is increasingly recognized as a key part of lifelong care. These microorganisms respond to diet, environment, and lifestyle, and their diversity is a marker of digestive resilience. Including a range of plant foods, as well as fermented items like yogurt or kefir, if tolerated, can support a balanced microbiome. Avoiding unnecessary antibiotics and allowing time for recovery after any needed treatment also protects this internal ecosystem. Hydration remains a simple yet essential factor in digestive care from youth to old age. Water facilitates nearly every step of digestion, from saliva production to nutrient transport to the softening of stool in the large intestine. While individual needs vary, maintaining steady fluid intake throughout the day helps the digestive tract perform its work without unnecessary resistance. In the quiet, continuous work of digestion, small habits accumulate into lasting benefits. The digestive system does not demand perfection. It is built to handle occasional irregularities and to recover from brief disruptions, but it thrives when supported with balance, variety, and gentleness. Over a lifetime, these principles preserve not only the function of the digestive system, but also the comfort and vitality it makes possible. When we think of lifelong health, it is easy to focus on the heart, the muscles, or the brain, but the digestive system sustains them all. Every cell in the body relies on the nutrients it delivers, and every function depends on the steady work that begins with each meal. By caring for the digestive system from day to day and year to year, we care for the foundation of life itself, a foundation that, quietly and faithfully, carries us from the first nourishment to the last. 17. Hydration and digestion. Water is the quiet companion of every digestive process, though it does not provide energy or nutrients in the way that carbohydrates, proteins, or fats do. It is the medium in which nearly all the chemistry of digestion takes place. From the first moment food enters the mouth to the final stage in the large intestine, water is present, carrying, dissolving, and softening, ensuring that each step flows into the next without resistance. Without it, digestion would slow, harden, and strain. With it, the system can move with ease, silently transporting the building blocks of life to where they are needed most. The journey of water and digestion begins before a single swallow of food. In the mouth, saliva is more than 90% water. It moistens each bite, helping to form the bolus that can be swallowed comfortably. Saliva's enzymes, such as amylase, rely on this water-rich environment to begin breaking down starches into smaller sugars. Even the simple act of tasting is aided by water, as flavor molecules dissolve in saliva and interact with the taste buds. Without adequate moisture, food feels dry, rough, and harder to chew, and digestion's earliest steps lose some of their gentle efficiency. When we swallow, water travels down the esophagus alongside food and drink, but its true importance becomes more evident in the stomach. Here, gastric juices, a blend of water, hydrochloric acid, and enzymes bathe the incoming food. The water content of these juices allows enzymes like pepsin to move freely, mingling with the softened particles of the meal. The stomach's churning motions blend food and fluid into a smooth chyme, ready to be passed into the small intestine. A meal lacking in fluid will take longer to achieve this texture, and the resulting chyme may be thicker, making it more challenging for the intestine to work with. In the small intestine, water's role deepens. Digestive enzymes from the pancreas and bile from the liver and gallbladder all function in a watery environment. Fats are emulsified into tiny droplets within bile, floating freely in the fluid so lipase enzymes can act upon them. Carbohydrates and proteins, broken into sugars and amino acids, dissolve in water before slipping across the intestinal lining into the bloodstream. Even the villi and microvilli, those tiny, delicate projections that give the intestine its immense surface area, remain pliable and active because they are bathed in fluid. The constant movement of water through the intestinal wall also helps maintain the balance of electrolytes, such as sodium and potassium, which are essential for nerve signaling and muscle contraction throughout the body. Water also aids in the transport of nutrients after they have been absorbed. In the blood, water is the main component of plasma, the clear fluid that carries glucose, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals to every cell. Without this watery medium, nutrients could not move smoothly through the circulatory system. Similarly, in the lymphatic system, which carries fats away from the small intestine, water-rich lymph fluid provides the gentle current that carries chylomicrons through lymph vessels and eventually into the bloodstream. As the digestive process moves toward the large intestine, water takes on a new role: balance. The colon reabsorbs much of the water that entered the digestive tract, along with dissolved salts, to maintain hydration and prevent unnecessary loss of fluids. This process is not hurried. The contents of the colon may spend many hours here, allowing the body to reclaim what it needs, while still leaving enough water in the stool to keep it soft and easy to pass. If too much water is removed, stools become hard and dry, and elimination can be uncomfortable. If too little is reabsorbed, stools may be loose. Both extremes show how closely digestion depends on the right balance of hydration. The body has its own ways of regulating water in digestion. Hormones such as antidiuretic hormone, ADH, influence how much water is conserved or released, while signals from the digestive tract itself can increase thirst when more fluid is needed. High-fiber foods, for example, hold water within them, adding bulk and softness to stool, but they also require adequate fluid intake to work effectively. Without enough water, fiber can contribute to sluggish movement through the intestines instead of aiding regularity. Temperature, activity level, and environment all affect hydration needs. and these changes are reflected in digestion. On warm days, when more water is lost through sweat, the body may draw extra fluid from the digestive tract to maintain balance elsewhere, subtly influencing stool consistency. During physical activity, blood flow shifts toward muscles, and digestion temporarily slows. Once activity ends and hydration is restored, digestive pace returns to normal. These adjustments happen quietly, often unnoticed, yet they show how the body continually prioritizes water's distribution between systems. Drinking water with meals can be helpful, though the digestive system is flexible enough to adapt whether fluids are consumed during eating or separately. Water can soften food, ease its passage, and help blend it with enzymes and stomach acid. It can also aid in dissolving soluble fiber, allowing it to form a gentle gel in the intestines that slows the absorption of sugars and supports a steady energy release. However, the body will also draw on fluids from between meals, circulating them where they are most needed. The sensation of thirst is not always a precise indicator of hydration status. By the time we feel thirsty, the body may already be conserving water more actively. For this reason, steady fluid intake across the day, including water, herbal teas, and the natural moisture in fruits and vegetables, supports digestion more effectively than large amounts taken all at once. Foods like cucumber, melon, oranges, and leafy greens contribute significant water to the diet, softening the workload of the digestive tract, while also delivering vitamins and minerals. Hydration supports not only the mechanical aspects of digestion but also its protective ones. The mucus that lines the stomach and intestines, shielding them from acid and friction, is made mostly of water. This layer must remain moist to be effective. If the body is dehydrated, mucus production can decrease, and the digestive lining may become more vulnerable to irritation. Similarly, the flow of bile and pancreatic juices is dependent on adequate fluid levels, and reduced hydration can subtly alter their consistency. In essence, water is the silent partner in every stage of digestion. It dissolves, carries, cushions, and balances. It keeps the motions of the digestive tract smooth, the textures of its contents soft, and the chemical reactions of digestion efficient. Without it, the system can still work, but more slowly, with more effort, and with greater risk of discomfort. With it, digestion flows in harmony, as if following a natural current from start to finish. Over the course of a day, and indeed a lifetime, the steady presence of water ensures that the digestive system can meet the body's needs with grace. It may be the most overlooked nutrient, yet it is also the most constant, the backdrop against which the entire process unfolds. Each sip, each bite of water-rich food is part of a quiet cycle that keeps the inner world balanced and nourished. 18. Rest, relaxation, and digestive health. The digestive system, like every part of the body, thrives when given the right conditions. Among the most important of these conditions is a state of rest, not the stillness of inactivity alone, but a deeper sense of calm that allows the body's parasympathetic nervous system to guide its work. This is sometimes called the rest and digest mode, a gentle counterbalance to the more urgent fight or flight state that prepares the body for action. When the mind is at ease and the body is unhurried, digestion moves with quiet efficiency, each organ fulfilling its role at a comfortable pace. Rest and digestion are linked through a complex network of nerves and signals. The parasympathetic nervous system, carried largely through the vagus nerve, encourages the stomach to produce gastric juices, the pancreas to release enzymes, and the intestines to contract in a smooth, rhythmic way. Blood flow increases to the digestive organs, bringing oxygen and carrying away nutrients as they are absorbed. In this state, the body can devote more energy to breaking down food, absorbing its components, and storing or using them as needed. In contrast, during times of stress or high activity, the sympathetic nervous system, takes the lead. This fight or flight state diverts blood away from the digestive tract toward the muscles, heart, and lungs, preparing the body for quick movement. Peristalsis slows, enzyme production decreases, and the movement of food through the intestines becomes less coordinated. These changes are protective in moments of true urgency, but when they become prolonged, digestion may feel sluggish or irregular. This is why moments of calm are not simply pleasant. They are essential for the digestive system to function at its best. Rest does not always mean sleep, though sleep is one of the most restorative states for digestion. Gentle, unhurried activities such as sitting in a quiet space after a meal, walking at an easy pace, or engaging in mindful breathing can encourage the parasympathetic state. Even the simple act of eating slowly, chewing each bite thoroughly, and pausing between mouthfuls gives the digestive organs time to respond naturally to the presence of food. This pacing allows hormones to signal feelings of fullness, prevents overloading the stomach, and supports the steady release of nutrients into the small intestine. The environment in which we eat can also shape the digestive experience. Meals taken in a calm, comfortable setting allow the senses to engage fully. The gentle aromas of food, the warmth of the plate in hand, and the quiet rhythm of eating all signal the body that it is safe to focus on nourishment. In contrast, hurried meals taken in stressful surroundings may keep the body partially in a sympathetic state, reducing digestive efficiency. Over time, this can influence not only comfort but also nutrient absorption. Relaxation benefits digestion beyond the moments when food is actually present in the stomach or intestines. The gut is a living environment, with constant renewal of its lining and ongoing communication between its nervous system, immune system, and microbiome. These processes require steady blood flow and balanced chemical signaling, both of which are supported by a parasympathetic state. Chronic tension, by contrast, can alter the composition of the gut microbiota, increase the sensitivity of the intestinal wall, and influence the movement of material through the tract in ways that feel either too slow or too fast. Physical rest is only part of the picture. Mental and emotional rest are equally important. The enteric nervous system, which runs through the walls of the digestive tract, communicates constantly with the brain. This is why feelings of stress, anticipation, or calm can be felt in the gut as much as in the mind. When the brain senses ease, the gut mirrors this with smooth, coordinated movement. When the brain senses distress, the gut may respond with tightness, irregular contractions, or changes in secretion. This two-way communication means that caring for the mind is also a way of caring for digestion. Breathing patterns can serve as a bridge between the two. Slow, steady breaths send signals to the nervous system that it is safe to relax, activating the parasympathetic pathways that support digestion. A few minutes of deep breathing before or after a meal can gently shift the body's balance, allowing digestive processes to flow more easily. This effect is subtle but accumulates over time, helping the body maintain a rhythm of calm digestion, even during busier days. The role of rest extends into nighttime. While we sleep, the digestive system slows its pace, yet continues important work. The stomach may finish processing the last of the evening meal, while the small intestine absorbs any remaining nutrients. The large intestine moves more slowly, conserving water and allowing bacterial fermentation to proceed quietly. At the same time, the migrating motor complex, a sweeping wave of muscle contractions, helps clear the small intestine of leftover particles, preparing it for the next day's meals. This nighttime maintenance is most effective when sleep is deep and uninterrupted, underscoring the connection between overall rest and digestive health. Hydration also works hand in hand with rest. When the body is calm and well hydrated, secretions such as saliva, gastric juices, bile, and mucus can be produced in optimal amounts and consistency. These fluids not only break down food, but also protect the lining of the digestive tract, and ease the movement of material through it. Stress, by altering hormonal balance, can reduce fluid availability to the gut, while rest helps restore this balance, ensuring that digestion remains smooth and comfortable. Over time, building habits that promote rest can have profound effects on digestion. This might mean setting aside time to eat without distractions, choosing gentle activities after meals instead of intense exertion, or creating a regular sleep schedule that allows the digestive system its nightly rhythm of repair. It can also mean recognizing the signs of tension in the body, tightness in the shoulders, shallow breathing, or a racing mind, and responding with a moment of stillness before continuing with the day. The connection between rest, relaxation, and digestion is not a fragile one. It is resilient, adapting to the realities of life's demands. Even brief moments of calm can tip the balance toward a parasympathetic state, supporting the digestive system in doing what it does best. Like a stream that runs more clearly when undisturbed, the processes of digestion unfold most naturally when given the space to flow at their own pace. In essence, to care for digestion is to care for the rhythm of rest within the day. The body's inner world responds to the signals we send through our habits, environments, and choices. When those signals speak of safety and ease, digestion answers with smooth, unhurried movements, thorough absorption, and gentle balance. Over the course of a lifetime, this partnership between calm and nourishment forms the foundation for lasting digestive health, a quiet, steady current beneath the surface of daily life. 19. Common gentle variations in digestion. No two digestive systems are exactly alike. While the broad structure and function of digestion are shared across all people, the finer details, the pace at which food moves, the balance of gut bacteria, the way the body responds to certain foods can vary naturally from person to person. These variations are not necessarily signs of trouble. Often, they are simply part of the body's quiet individuality. Understanding them can help us approach digestion with reassurance and gentleness, recognizing that there is a wide spectrum of what is normal. One of the most noticeable variations is the speed of digestion. For some, food moves through the digestive tract at a relaxed, gradual pace. Meals may take longer to be fully processed, with the stomach holding onto its contents a bit longer before passing them to the small intestine. For others, the process is brisker, with peristaltic waves propelling food forward more quickly. Both patterns can be healthy, provided they are consistent for the individual and do not cause discomfort. This pace is influenced by many factors, including muscle tone in the digestive tract, hormone levels, and the composition of the gut microbiome. Metabolic rate plays a role as well. People with a higher metabolic rate may feel hungry again sooner after eating, as their bodies use energy more rapidly. Those with a slower metabolic rate may go longer between meals. This is part of the body's unique balance, and over time, most people find a rhythm that suits them, a pattern of eating and digestion that feels comfortable and sustainable. Food tolerances and sensitivities are another area where gentle variation is common. Some people digest dairy with ease, while others lack sufficient amounts of the enzyme lactase, making milk and certain cheeses less comfortable to consume. Similarly, gluten, found in wheat and related grains, can be perfectly well tolerated by many, while for others it may cause bloating or discomfort. These differences are not necessarily signs of disease. They often reflect the body's inherited traits or gradual adaptations over a lifetime. Learning which foods feel supportive and which feel less so is part of understanding one's personal digestive landscape. The gut microbiome, the vast community of microorganisms living in the intestines, is another source of variation. No two microbiomes are identical, and their composition can influence digestion in subtle ways. Certain bacteria excel at breaking down specific fibers, producing beneficial short-chain fatty acids in the process. Others may help regulate the immune system or influence how efficiently the body extracts energy from food. These differences can affect stool consistency, the amount of gas produced during digestion, and even the ease with which certain nutrients are absorbed. Diet, environment, genetics, and lifestyle all shape the microbiome over time. Stool patterns themselves vary naturally among healthy individuals. While one person may pass stool once a day, another may do so every other day or twice a day without issue. The important factor is comfort and ease, rather than strict timing. Similarly, stool consistency can range within a healthy spectrum, from softer, formed stools to firmer ones, depending on hydration, fiber intake, and the speed of movement through the colon. The body often signals when something is outside its own norm, and paying attention to these patterns can help maintain balance. Seasonal and environmental changes can also influence digestion. Warmer weather may encourage lighter, more water-rich meals, while colder months often bring heartier, denser foods. These shifts can subtly alter digestion's pace and comfort. Travel, with changes in time zone, climate, and diet, can also temporarily affect the rhythm of the digestive tract. Often, the body adjusts within a few days, re-establishing its own steady pattern. Emotional state is another gentle influence. The gut and brain are closely linked, and moods or levels of stress can affect how the digestive system behaves. A period of calm may allow for smooth, unhurried digestion, while tension may make the stomach feel tight or the intestines more active than usual. These changes are typically temporary and part of the body's natural response to its environment. Aging brings its own variations. Over the years, the production of certain digestive enzymes may decline slightly, stomach acid levels may adjust, and the muscles that move food along may work at a gentler pace. These shifts are not necessarily problematic. They are simply part of the body's adaptation to different stages of life. Adjusting diet, for example, by choosing softer textures, increasing hydration, or spacing meals, can help digestion remain comfortable and effective. Cultural and dietary habits also shape digestion's patterns. Diets rich in particular spices, fibers, or fermented foods influence the microbiome and the body's digestive rhythms. The same meal might be digested differently by two people from different backgrounds, each shaped by their own lifelong eating patterns. These differences are a testament to the digestive system's adaptability, showing how it works with what it is given to achieve balance. Even within a single individual, digestion is not static. It can change with life events, with shifts in diet, with recovery from illness, or with changes in daily routine. The body's flexibility in these moments is a sign of health. The digestive system responding, adjusting, and finding its way back to a comfortable equilibrium. Understanding these variations helps to ease unnecessary worry. Rather than comparing our digestion to an imagined standard, we can observe our own patterns with curiosity and acceptance. What is most important is how the system feels in its daily function, whether it works without strain, without persistent discomfort, and with the sense of gentle completeness that follows a well-processed meal. In the quiet world within, variation is not a flaw but a reflection of individuality. Just as no two heartbeats are exactly alike, no two digestive rhythms match perfectly. They change over time, respond to their surroundings, and express the body's unique way of interacting with the food it receives. Recognizing this can bring a sense of ease, allowing us to trust in the digestive system's ability to adapt and sustain us in its own way. 20 closing reflections. The quiet work within. The digestive system is a patient and constant presence, working quietly in the background from the first breath we take until the final moments of life. It does not clamor for attention. It does not demand that we think about it. Instead, it goes about its tasks with unbroken rhythm, transforming the food and drink we take in into the energy and building blocks that sustain every part of us. From the simplest daily movement to the most intricate thought, from the renewal of cells to the warmth in our muscles, all are possible because the digestive system has done its work well. When we reflect on digestion, we see not a single event, but an ongoing cycle, a continuous flow that links the outside world to the inner landscape of the body. Each meal begins a familiar journey, food greeted by the senses, broken apart in the mouth, guided down the esophagus, bathed in the chemistry of the stomach, transformed by the cooperation of the small intestine, liver, gallbladder, and pancreas, and finally settled into the large intestine for the last steps of water absorption and preparation for elimination. This cycle is repeated again and again, often without our awareness, yet it shapes the foundation of our health in quiet, profound ways. The strength of the digestive system lies not only in its complexity, but also in its adaptability. It responds to the foods we eat, to changes in our activity, to the demands of growth, and to the gentle shifts that come with age. It can work steadily through a simple meal or a grand feast, through familiar foods or new flavors. Even in times of stress or illness, it finds ways to continue its essential work, adjusting its pace and priorities as needed. This resilience is one of the most remarkable aspects of our biology. Equally remarkable is the way digestion supports every other system in the body. The heart beats with the fuel provided by nutrients. The muscles contract and release with the energy drawn from carbohydrates and fats. The brain's billions of cells fire signals made possible by proteins, lipids, and minerals. The immune system stands ready because the digestive tract has not only provided the building materials for immune cells, but also trained them through constant contact with the outside world. Every system, every process, is connected to the work of digestion. This connection extends beyond the purely physical. The gut's constant dialogue with the brain means that our inner state is often reflected in our digestive comfort. Calm moments bring smooth and unhurried digestion. Tension or worry may change its rhythm. This communication is part of a deeper truth that the body is not a collection of separate parts, but a network of systems working together, each influencing and supporting the others in ways we may only partially understand. The quiet work of digestion also connects us to the wider world. The food we eat comes from fields, orchards, rivers, and oceans. It carries the warmth of the sun, the nourishment of the soil, the life of plants and animals. In eating, we take in part of the world around us, and digestion transforms it into part of ourselves. This is a cycle older than humanity, shared by every living creature that draws energy from the earth. In this way, the digestive system is not only an inward process, but also a bridge between our bodies and the life that surrounds us. There is a kind of grace in the fact that so much of this happens without our effort. While we go about our daily lives working, resting, talking, or simply breathing, the digestive system continues its patient routine. The stomach churns, the intestines absorb, the liver balances, the colon compacts, muscles contract in waves we do not feel, and cells secrete enzymes we will never see. All of it is coordinated with precision, guided by signals that move too quickly for us to follow, yet always aimed toward the same purpose: to keep the body nourished, balanced, and ready for life. This constancy offers a kind of reassurance. Just as the heart keeps beating and the lungs keep breathing, the digestive system keeps working, hour by hour, day by day. It is part of the body's promise to sustain itself as best it can, to recover from small disruptions, and to adapt to new conditions. Even when the rhythm is temporarily altered by travel, by changes in routine, by the shifting tides of life, it tends to return to its familiar pace, quietly restoring balance without fanfare. In the stillness of night, when the mind has turned inward and the body rests, the digestive system continues its careful maintenance. The small intestine clears away what remains in preparation for the next day's meals. The liver processes nutrients, stores some for later, and releases others into the blood as needed. The colon moves slowly, reclaiming water and allowing fermentation to continue at its natural pace. These nighttime processes are gentle, unhurried, and essential, a reminder that the work of life never truly stops. To end this exploration is not to end the cycle itself. Even now, Somewhere in the body, a meal is being digested, nutrients are moving into the bloodstream, and cells are drawing from them to renew and strengthen themselves. This will happen again and again, not only tomorrow but for as long as life continues. The digestive system will keep shaping the raw material of the outside world into the living substance of the self, silently and faithfully. In the end, the digestive system's greatest strength is also its quietest quality. It serves without seeking recognition. It is content to be unnoticed, to work beneath the surface, to keep the inner world balanced while we live in the outer one. To reflect on it is to recognize the beauty of steady, dependable care, the kind that does not draw attention to itself, yet makes everything else possible. And so, as we let our minds grow still and our breathing slow, we can carry with us a gentle gratitude for the digestive system's tireless work, always there, always flowing, always sustaining the quiet miracle of life.